Believe it or not, I do this every night, and if I don't write it in my journal, I do it in my head. So SMIGILs is what were my successes for the day, and I'm gonna hand it out. You guys get to write them. Okay, the number one thing that stops artists, does any of you know what that is?
Fear.
It is fear, but there's something specific through research. People that study creative people have found.
They get down on themselves.
There is self-defeating talk, that's huge. That's another thing that stops artists. It's not the number one thing though.
Thinking too much? No.
That's getting close. Did everyone hear that? Thinking too much? It's kind of getting close to the number one thing that stops artists. In today's world, the biggest thing that stops people from moving forward is overwhelm. They get so overwhelmed with information and ideas and all of this that they don't move forward. And so the number one tool to overcome overwhelm, and there's a reason in your brain why this affects you. Okay? Yeah.
That results in a block.
It results in a block, and people can't move forward with their ideas. Is if you keep things small, and I mean super small, you basically bypass the amygdala in your brain, which is the center for fight or flight, which stops you from creating. And if you keep your ideas really small, then you keep moving forward. So when I think small, when I look at this little S, I think small, I think keep it simple, I think small steps. And these are all things that are always gonna support you being a creative. Even if it means that you go home and you take out a blank canvas pad and you put out your supplies and your paints and your things, and you just leave it out. That's your small step for the day. That's a success. Because then it's just so small that it doesn't even faze you. You want to set yourself up for success. So I'm inviting you to write something down. It could be from today or this week. It's something that I think about often is what is a success for you? Could have been showing up for class. Could have been that you ate healthy or you went for a walk this morning. I don't know what it is for you. But please take a moment and write it on your sheet. So the next thing that I always think of at the end of the day are magic moments. And this is what I think of with magic moments is, when you watch a movie and someone dies and their whole life flashes before them, and it's often it's all sorts of things, but often it's like the little memory of say you had a little baby and you're feeding them, or you're a little kid and you're swinging on a swing and it feels so good. But those little magic moments in life that make all of this worthwhile, whatever it is, maybe it's when you're working on a painting and something really cool happens. I don't know what it is for you, but it's, I think, partly why we're living, is to have those magic moments of being here and going, oh yeah, I'll tell you what it was for me. I rode my bike here this morning and it was the smell of the air. It smelled so good, the rain on the grass. And I just said, wow, it's such a lovely day. It was magical riding my bike through all the trees. It's such a pretty part of the city and everything's so green. So it's just noticing what is happening in your life, that maybe it's that bite of your lunch that tasted so good. It can be anything, but I think it's really important to start noticing. So the next one is intuition or inspiration. And when I talked about the E-list last week, I sort of alluded to that. So the question I ask myself is, what is currently inspiring me in my life? I can tell you right now, and I'd love to hear from you guys. I'm going to be taking my daughter camping in July, maybe for 3 weeks. I'm pretty excited about that. And there's also some paintings that I want to work on that I'm really inspired about. So it's just listening to the inner voice about what is energizing you and what your intuition is guiding you towards. I had this friend in Santa Barbara. Her name's Meredith Medland, and she's kind of famous. She interviews movie stars at red carpet events, and she has a radio show. And we used to go for walks together, and we called them gratitude walks. And all we would do is go back and forth as we walked and say something we were grateful for. It was really, really nice. At the end of it, you feel so happy. You're like, wow, I have so much to be grateful for. But for the case of keeping things small, you can just think of one thing. So I'm grateful for all of you being here, personally. So something you're grateful for. And then the last one is, what did you learn? And honestly, for me, I find this the most challenging. Every night I go to bed and I say, what did I learn today? Because if we're not learning and growing, we're dying in this life. If you're not expanding yourself, you know, so really, like, how are you learning? And it could be the smallest thing, like just, I don't know, like asking for what you want, or you've learned a certain technique on how to finish a painting, or, you know, I was dating this guy a while ago, and he sent me a beautiful email, and he said, at this moment, someone is thinking of you, someone is sending you love. So maybe we all need to learn that, like someone is caring about us, you know? It was a really nice email. So whatever it is for you that you've learned, it's good to draw attention to it and realize that we're always growing.